Hello everyone, welcome to I Am Who I Am. My name is Nelly Sosibo, and of course I'm here with our resident lady, Unandi. She is joining us today for our next episode. And thank you so much for all the love in the previous episodes. We appreciate the comments. We've been seeing and reading them, and it's really, really lovely to see that these conversations are opening up a new portal of insight for people in terms of finding themselves and also just reconnecting with the conversation about identity. Now, today we are talking about the same thing. Again, I wanted to actually touch on this. We spoke about this with Unandi, that the conversations that we're having are one and the same thing, but of course we speak about them in different angles and in different ways. So it will always link back to the core of what this podcast is about, which is I am who I am. And today we are talking about the errors that we make as human beings as we try to journey to being the source of who we are. And Nandi, this will take me to my first question to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited to be able to chat with you and sit with you again. So my first question is, because we're not there yet and we're still separated from our source, we tend to make these errors as human beings and these mistakes. Are you able to just maybe elaborate a bit more about where these errors come from, how do they derive, and why do we do them?
It's a pleasure indeed to be here.
Yes.
Thank you. The errors, they come from not knowing who you are. Once you know who you are, you will not make these errors. You will understand them from the beginning as soon as it happens. Once you forgot who you are, there is a separation that is between you and where or who you're supposed to be. Then it creates the fact that there is a destination, there is a place, and there is also time that you need to go there. And the destination is in heaven. The time is, you don't know the time, and the place is, you have to die first at some point for you to be able to access the place where you're supposed to go to, which is heaven.
Yeah.
And that is the error. And that creates the suffering in the sense that you are trying to get to the place which you do not know. You are trying to get in time, which you also do not know, and also the destination. And all these things are happening within you. And as we heard in the previous episodes,
yes,
that the kingdom of God is within us. So whatever that you are looking for, the journey that you are trying to put yourself into is not necessary. You have to just go within yourself and you will find who you are.
Yeah.
So in this case, the issue of going and the issue of being there, when you are already there, you are already who you are. You just have to be aware of that. And once you are aware of it, the suffering is dissolved. As soon as you are aware, as you listen to the previous episodes, we talked about the Princess of Kashi,
yes,
where the prince was able to dissolve his desires immediately and spontaneously, because he realized that he was the person that was on the portrait. So he didn't have to marry anybody. So in this case as well, it is the same thing. We still continue with that to say there is no place to go, there is no journey to take, and then there is no time that is required for that.
Yeah. I think, and it's so important to realize that, I think the difficult thing is actually realizing that we are the destination, because we're not aware yet. And we're struggling to be aware. We're struggling to understand that we are the destination. We find these different ways. And like you said, we'll talk about the tools in a bit. We find tools that we use to try and get ourselves there, but we're not aware that we actually have already arrived.
You have not arrived. You are.
We are.
The destination. The destination is you, yourself, because the destination is within. So if you look within and become aware of that, and the issue that we also discussed was the issue of ignorance and knowledge. So once you are ignorant about it, and then you get knowledge about it, then you know, then you are awakened. You are the very thing that you are looking for. Hence the searching and the looking going to heaven is creating the separation, which then says there is a distance to travel and there is time required. And based on that, you create the conditions that you are living in because you have moved from who you are. You are living in your condition, and those conditions becomes real than real.
Yeah.
They look to be the thing that you have arrived, as you are saying. There is nowhere to arrive because you already are.
And let's talk about the kingdom, because I know in the previous episode we spoke about the kingdom of God and we are the kingdom. There's a verse in the book of John. It says, unless you are born again, then you cannot see the kingdom of heaven. Are you able to maybe elaborate a bit on that and how that links to us transforming our minds?
The verse is talking about what I've just said now.
Yeah.
Unless you are born again, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. It simply means that there is a separation because you've got to enter. It means you are outside of the kingdom. So with that in mind, you have to then be aware. That is the only condition that is required, as I have said previously. That
awareness.
You are already in the kingdom, but you think you are out there. But because of that thought that you think you are out, it creates this separation between you and who you truly are. Therefore, you are looking for ways now to come back.
Yes.
And as you are looking for these ways to come back, you create more of these conditions because then you're using tools.
Right.
For instance, if you are using these tools to go back, you then stay there thinking that the tools are the destination that you are talking about. Hence, they are not. You still have to use the tools. They are very good. You have to use the tools so that they can take you to your destination, where you are, where you find yourself in the place where you say, I am who I am. So as long as you are in your conditions, you will always be talking about going to heaven. You will always be talking about all these other things because you are talking outside of it. Therefore, you will never enter the kingdom of God, as the Bible is saying, that unless you are born again. To be born again is to renew your mind, is to realize who you truly are, and then return to that point of being, that state of being. Then you can say, I have returned. And once you have returned there is no way you can then talk about it because you are already it. As long as you are talking about it outside, it means you are still outside of it.
Yeah.
So you cannot enter it unless you are born again. So you've got to renew your mind and know that I am the kingdom of God myself. It's not out there.
And for someone who's listening and hearing you say the word tools, and they can think to themselves, I wonder what she's talking about. Can you give us a few examples of what those tools are that are not it, but are a link to the place or the link to us? Those tools that help us get to the source, but are not the source itself. If that's a better way to phrase the question.
No, I understand your question.
Yeah.
If you look at or listen to what I have just said now about the tools and the conditions and the kingdom of God, I think there are attributes that are always given about heaven.
Yes.
Do you know them?
I mean, from the top of my head, heaven is beautiful. It's streets of gold.
Really?
These are the things that we've been told. Okay, so this is allegedly. It's beautiful, streets of gold. It's light. There's no darkness. So that's just from
there's
the
no
top
sickness.
Of my,
it's health.
There's no
harmony.
sorrow.
It's peace. It's joy. It's love and everything. And God is unconditional love and everything.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say we've got that, which is then heaven, as you have said it. Then you got out of heaven, and this happened in the Garden of Eden when there was this Jesus Christ and Adam and Eve, and Jesus Christ they were tempted. So with that temptation, they came to this good and evil. So when this good and evil was done, it then created the separation. So when you came in, when you were born already in the separation. So your purpose now is to go back, is to be born again. So for you to be born again, you've got to be aware that was an error.
Yeah.
So now I have to go back and be who I am. And for you to be that, you've got to go through the process of moving from the condition and coming back home. In the process of moving from the conditions, you get into the tools.
Yeah.
You need tools now to remember going back.
Yeah.
The good news about it, though, is that you are always saying, I'm going to heaven. So you didn't forget per se. The only thing is to implement that and go back to who you are and be there. So in this case, you are using the tools. You are moving from where you are now, using the tools so that you can go back to heaven.
Yeah.
Right. And have that milk and honey that they talk about in heaven. No sickness. Who doesn't want to stay in a place where there is no sickness?
Yeah.
Where is always joy, where there is harmony, peace, love, and joy. So we always want to sit there. So in your mind, even sitting here, you are always thinking that I am going somewhere. You know that this is not the end of you. You have to end up somewhere, which is in heaven, where you're going to have all these good things here. But now, you are sitting there in all the conditions. If you start by saying, for instance, you need confidence, you are unhealthy, you need peace, there must be peace, all these things that you are talking about, you then use the tools to correct that. And when you use the tools to correct that, you make sure that you sit there. Unfortunately, you make sure that you think that the tools that you are using are your destination. They have covered that distance that you talked about previously, to say there is a distance that you have to go. The distance that you need to go is to go within yourself. There is no other distance. But you have created it in the sense that you move from peace, but you know that you must be peaceful.
Yeah, you are.
But in heaven, as we have said, it's peaceful. Peace is there all the time. There is nothing that you need actually there. God is love. Everything is there.
Yeah.
But now you are sitting there. You are asking for peace. How is peace going to come about if you've left it here? So you have to now go back. But in the process of going back, you're stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
You're using the tools. You pray, you meditate, you do all these kind of things here, and you think you have arrived, and you settle.
That's what most of us do.
Once you settle in the middle, you are still not there. It's a very good tool, and these tools are working very well, and they actually do remind you, and they actually do what they're supposed to be doing. Like when you meditate, you go within. The verse says, be still and know that I am God. You are very still, and you can actually feel yourself that, you know what, I am feeling myself, I am in this. And you feel the presence of everything within you. But 2 days after, you lapse back to looking for peace.
Why is that though? That's the question.
The question is, you do not know who you are. Once you have that question clear and you have awakened to that question, you are aware of that question, who am I? Then you will always be reminded that I am not the tools.
Yes.
The tools are not my destination. I still have to move. I still have to be in the place that I'm supposed to be. And the movement is just a play of words. There is no movement. It is within. Just to go through within and say, I am who I am. Realize that within. And maybe not say it. Once you actually got it, You are there. There is no reason for you to say it because you are already there.
Yeah.
This we have actually spoken about as well. So once you get it right, you would not talk about you need truth.
It's in you are truth.
You are truth.
Yeah.
You need love. You are love.
Yeah, love.
You need lucky. You are luck. You need all these things that you're talking about. You do not need any of them. You are always sitting there and praising. However, it does not mean that because you are already here, you're not going to get sick.
True.
You are going to get sick. However, you will understand that this sickness is not me who is sick, because you are the one that is experiencing and looking, witnessing whatever that is happening in front of you. It's not the sickness itself that is the problem. You are the one that is watching and looking at the sickness as it go around.
Yeah.
So in this case, the sickness, the suffering, the everything does not happen in God, does not happen here. Because here there is always joy, there is always peace, there is always love. There is no way you can feel anything other than what this is. Even if it does happen, even if it does not happen, you remain the person that you are in this God-loving environment, which is called heaven.
Yeah.
And that is within you. It is not out there.
And once you know that, you don't need to search for it.
Once you know that, you don't have to search for it.
So it starts with knowing.
It starts with knowing.
Yeah.
You move from ignorance to knowledge, and once you get the knowledge about who you are, then you've completed everything. There is no distance to travel. There is no time to take, and also you don't have to die first before you can go to heaven. You're already in heaven within you.
Yeah, it reminds me of what you said, that we are unlimited, unconditional. There's no death anymore once you are there, once you are it. And it also speaks of how we are all just spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's actually how we should be looking at life and living life, because we are life. And I think that just sums up our conversation for today really lovely, really amazingly. We're going to go into our next episode, and that will be about elaborating another tool in more detail. We'll be talking about how we use the tool of makeup to also help us get to ourselves as ladies, as gents, as humans. And we'll talk about that in our next episodes. But for now, I'm just going to end it off here. Nandi, any parting words for our viewers and listeners?
Thank you very much. I will just say, let us stop the search. The search is within us. Go within, be still, and know that you are God and you are I am.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And that is it from Unandi and myself, Nelly Sosibo. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.